to stopping Oklahoma's offense?
They've got a great offense. I mean, they've got players in every position, good O-line, good skill, good quarterback. Just comes down to execution. Just got to be cleaner, eliminate the mental errors, the little mistakes, and I think we'll be good to go.
And you were around the last time K-State went down to Norman and won. I know circumstances are different, but coming off of a disappointing loss and going to Norman, do you kind of feel like there's any similarity to that?
Yeah, it is weird how it's kind of worked out that way. I don't want to. I mean, losing anytime's bad, but I think after a loss, it does make you kind of reflect and think, what could I have done differently? What do I need to do differently? So I think guys are already attacking this week harder than we have any of the weeks previously. I mean, you got to do more after a loss. Obviously, whatever you did was not enough, so everyone's got to pick it up a little bit.
And what's the message inside of the locker room kind of been like this week?
I mean, just yesterday being all together, I'm proud of how everyone was acting. I mean, people were focused, people were locked in, people were attacking the day. People weren't walking around all mopey and upset about the loss. People moved on, looked back at it, learned from it, but it's time to move forward.
Have you guys had to go back a ways to find Philmont Gabriel?
Yeah, there's definitely some going back because I know him and his OC have been together for a little while. So yeah, we've been looking at a little bit of that and looking obviously at the games from this year as well.
Eli, from a contained perspective, I know a defensive tackle doesn't have the biggest responsibility all the time, but when you went back and watched the film, can you just explain what you saw from the defensive line and areas you guys maybe struggled with that?
I think the defensive line played well, not as good as we have in the 2 games before that. I still think we controlled the line of scrimmage, but we didn't dominate the line of scrimmage like we have in the past. So we got to be more physical going forward. Got to be more physical.
How much of that is responsible to setting the edge and preventing quarterbacks from getting to the corner before you guys are able to get there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of things go into that depending on scheme and plays we're running and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that quarterback last week was a great player. So he was hard to contain, especially with a 3-man rush. It can be difficult, at times. But we've shown we can do it in the past, so we got to keep doing it.
Has anyone other than the captain stuck out to you in leadership?
Well, the good thing about this team is there's a ton of leaders. I mean, there's a ton of good guys who, even if they're not a captain, they have no problem speaking up. Seth Porter, Nick Allen, those are 2 dudes who could be a captain just as easily as any of the rest of us. I mean, they have no problem speaking up. They're great leaders, do things the right way. So those are 2 dudes who've already used their voice.
On Tulane's 2 touchdown drives, they picked up a chunk of yardage with running the quarterback. Were you guys expecting Michael Pratt to run it as much as he did?
Yeah, I mean, we knew he was a good player. I mean, he's a 3-year starter. We've seen that he's made plays with his legs in the past. We didn't execute. We had a good game plan. We knew what to expect. We just, bottom line, didn't execute well.
What's the mindset going into Oklahoma now that you're trying to pull off an upset?
I mean, it's just another team. It's another game. We're going to just attack the week of prep. I mean, obviously, there's a little more energy and a little chip on your shoulder going in to play a highly ranked opponent and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's another game. It's another team. Got to attack it like any other team.
2 years ago when you guys did pull off, you lose at home, turn back around, beat Oklahoma. What was the key to making that happen?
I mean, I've said this a few times, and it might be repetitive, but it's execution. I mean, you got to be clean, especially in big games like that. You can't give up the big explosive plays. You got to try and minimize that as much as possible. If you minimize explosive plays, get a few turnovers, you'll normally be in good shape.
How well would you say the defense is still playing through 3 games?
I think we still played solid last week. Obviously, not good enough. There's room for improvement. But people are playing hard. They're playing fast, playing physical. There was a few too many mental errors last week, so we got to clean that up.
Coach Kleiman talked about with the 3-man front, the one big difference this year is sort of more the emphasis on a true Sam linebacker, keeping that in. And how has that affected just the way you guys played, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, personnel definitely changes things depending on who's in there. Whether you've got a more true Sam in there, definitely helps on the run, or you get a little quicker guy, better in coverage out there. It can help on the pass. But I think us having the ability to be versatile on that is helpful depending on the situation.
And it has been.